Hello, I'm doing this video for this lady at Aldi. I don't know what your name is, sorry, but it's just that you're nice. You've always talked to me, and um, I just feel that people need to know what's been going on, and just to thank you as well for everything. This video is also for John, who is the mechanic doing my car. Decent gentleman, really kind gentleman, and his wife, and obviously his employees. Just so you know, John was a gentleman who was the only honest mechanic in an undercover investigation, and he said that no work needed to be done, and was on it. That's the basis of it anyway. So sorry, I'm not very good at explaining things sometimes. Anyway, this is the second time I've tried to do this video today. Earlier I was in an incredibly bad state. I couldn't stop crying. I was shouting, screaming, effing blinding, and I thought, well, that's not the kind of video really that I need to be sending to you. So anyway, I have been subjected to abuse since a child, even by parents, siblings. At school I was bullied by pupils and teachers as well. I would be forced to admit to things through fear, and then when I got back to my so-called family, my gladly now ex-family, again I would be forced to admit to things through fear of assault, only to be assaulted. My gladly now ex-father, XPC1698 of Bromsgrove, was also abusive, very. I'll give you an example of one occasion where I was beaten from head to toe. I was literally covered in bruises, and at one point over my red toy box, he smacked the back of my head so hard my head slammed into the wall. I've not had any help or support at all. I didn't have any medical intervention, and to this day I still struggle with the colour red, or certain shades of red, because of the toy box. I'm going to be honest, I've had a bit of a vape, so I'm sort of a bit more chilled at the moment, and I think I'm able to process things a bit easier. Although I may have to take some breaks, so you might see some splicing, so that's the only reason why. So anyway, none of this abated, and then when my so-called parents split up, there's never any encouragement. For example, it was like, oh, you'll just start that and you'll give it up. It would be a complete waste of time and money, but isn't that what kids do? And the funny thing is, the ironic thing is as I've grown older, I've actually seen more adults start things and give them up than kids do. And the thing is as well, is everything that I wanted to do when I was younger is everything that I always wanted to do up until the fact that I've given up on life. Such as caving, climbing, skydiving, scuba diving, acting, stunt work, music, teaching myself guitar, drums, so on, so forth. Everything I ever wanted to do as a child is everything that I sort of carried on doing. Anyway, I mean, for example, I remember once watching the behind the scenes of Terminator 2 with, there was a scene in there with the Terminator going from the truck to the big rig, and that stunt was performed by Peter Kent. And I remember saying when I was younger, I really want to do that one day, and I just got abuse from family saying, oh, you never do that. And my sister was like, no, you wouldn't do that. Well, I've actually got photos of me with Peter Kent after training with him, because I was pursuing stunt work at one point, but I even got bullied by people there. However, one stunt coordinator took me to the one side one day and said, Mike, look, I'm going to be honest with you, mate. He said, the reason you're having some issues is because people feel threatened by you. You're already capable of doing a lot of stunts, I can see that, so you've got a head start on them already, and add to that, you can also bring some engineering and science to this with your fire gels and the things that you can build and so on. And he said, like this stunt register, it's got nothing to do with safety, it's just about money. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I've given up on doing any stunts or acting. I've quite frankly had enough of it. I mean, anyway, sorry. So anyway, after my parents split up, there was a lot of abuse with my ex-stepfather, who's now dead, thankfully. I'm glad I got to break his ribs before he died, or 3 of them at least, sorry, to be more accurate. Don't want to embellish on things or make things out to be that they're not. There was a lot of abuse daily, and to this day I still have flashbacks that I can remember, and I still don't like people being near my face, touching my face or touching my chest. It freaks me out, like, because of child abuse. But yeah, even my gladly now ex-father and other people were aware of the absolute violence that we were being subjected to, and the fact that my ex-mother was also being beaten. He didn't do anything, nobody did, and it's disgusting that he is an ex-member of Public Enemy #1, which is the police, who I absolutely despise with a passion. Putrescent, degenerate, mendacious, Machiavellian filth. Anyway, I don't wish to digress and get angry, I do apologise. Trying to keep this calm. Yeah, just because of that and the fact that he was supposed to be a father, he didn't do anything. He was weaponising his own children. And I think my gladly now ex-mother let slip something one day about him being angry about him leaving, and that's why he didn't help and stuff like that. But anyway, he knew that his children were being abused, and so he didn't do anything. This has been reported, but Devon and Cornwall Constabulary, the Public Enemy #1, have done nothing, as have West Mercia. Disgusting scum. And the fact is, I've escalated this complaint, guess what, no response, and I haven't had one from the Police and Crime Commissioner in West Mercia either, because they're all flagitious, Praetorian, demeritorious, scurrilous, tyrannical Nazis. Same with Devon Partnership Trust, Royal Navy EOD, and so on. We'll get onto that in a bit. So abused that, and then it just carried on through life. I remember my first signs of mental illness were when I was very young. I would self-harm. Somebody asked me some years ago, when did I first start self-harming? Which is a really good question. I was sort of thinking about it. I was like, yeah. And then I remember my first incidents of hypochondria, which was very bad. That was when I was in secondary school. There was a lot of bullying and abuse there. And it continued. I haven't got any GCSEs at all because of it. Nothing was done, especially at Timoth Community College. You know, because it wasn't just one person, it was numerous people. And with Timoth Community College, I retaliated against someone and gave him a smack. And this guy who thought he was the big cheese, the bully, he got hit himself and everyone else just to bully me every day. But because his so-called father was actually a member of the committee, the school did nothing about it. Disgusting, vile human beings. So I've struggled my whole life with mental health in many respects. You know, there's been periods where just like, what is happening to me, and all I've encountered is nothing but grossly unprofessional behaviour and just sheer outright neglect and abuse. And it's just sickening that these people are actually in positions of trust and so on. And when I tell you what's happened to me with the mental health service, you'll see how sick this actually is. So anyway, I think my first suicide attempt while I was 20... Actually, no, I'd attempted it before then. However, on this occasion, when I was 23, I actually woke up in hospital. And yeah, and things just didn't get better from there at all. All they wanted to do was pump me full of medication and just not do anything. I was just like, no, it was horrible. Respiratory. I was just like, you know what? Sod off. It's like the first time I got given Ritalin for ADHD. It was horrible. I think at most I lasted 2 or 3 days. But every single night, it was like coming off a bad E. Just sheer panic. I was so suicidal to the point my ex-mother was like, I'm really concerned. I think we need to go to the hospital. But I was like, you know what? Stuff it. Like, Ritalin is horrible. It's just an awful drug. yeah, so, and I didn't get any help and support, and my life was deteriorating. I've just encountered nothing but abuse, been taking advantage of people. I mean, I'm not perfect by any stretch, but the way I've been treated is just without doubt absolutely inexcusable. So a lot. I've been to a couple of countries. I've been taken advantage of by a few females and so on. Lost babies, and they've just been quite manipulative and so on and so forth. But anyway, I'm going to sort of move up to 2016 because in 2016 I was engaged with something called the Devon Recovery Learning Community, part of Devon Partnership NHS Trust, because I was avidly into the outdoors. I used to be with climbing, caving and so on, all that kind of stuff. And a female by the name of Jo Verheyen made advances towards me, and we did meet up, and the stuff that she was coming out with, and I was just like, what? And she was getting off on this, and she regaled me with some tale of how she ruined some guy's marriage, somebody she met in a nightclub, and it was just like, and how she likes to screw with people's heads. But anyway, I think you get the point. So I messaged and said, look, I'm not interested in playing your games. And I wish her all the best. Now, I then received a telephone call from Caroline Nicholson, who, along with Russ Drayton, who's supposed to keep them legal and compliant, made the joint decision to ban me with no evidence. They refused it from me, and they refused an investigation. The response to got all three questions regarding that was, you're barred. And then she had the temerity, the chutzpah, to email me and say that they would review my case. So I've obviously gone to pals who are equally flagitious, equally Praetorian. These people really are pestiferous detritus. I mean, these people are pure evil, and they exist purely to safeguard the false image pushed by that Nazi Melanie Walker. So anyway, they got involved, and while it was in my favour, obviously, they still didn't follow up on anything they said they were going to do. They even tried to claim that they would put policies in place to ensure that things were investigated and so on, but that was in place prior to that. I've caught Devon Partnership Trust out lying as well, and numerous other things, but I mean, I'm doing a website for that. That's if I survive long enough. I'm very sick at the moment. So yeah, and I escalate it, and then Melanie Walker had the audacity to say that she thought that the last response would be a positive outcome. How the flipping hell could you claim that was a positive outcome in any way? My human rights were violated. I was discriminated against. Constitutes malicious communication, causing distress. These people refused me any compensation. They claimed I didn't deserve it. They also withdrew my therapy, and since then so much else has happened with Helen Riddell, my ex from Hameldown Close, Torquay. She was controlling and coercive. She kept me living in her house, which when I had my own, and when I said I want to live in my own place, she said that's not how it works. You stay in this place together with me or we're over, knowing that I had abandonment and attachment issues due to my childhood abuse and so on and so forth. Now, she only wanted a baby with me, knowing full well that I'd love to be a dad and to keep me in her life, but we lost the baby. We were abused by Torbay Hospital. It was absolutely disgusting how we were treated, but in defence of one nurse, she did duly apologise and was very sincerely apologetic and moved her to a private room 9 hours later, while she's sitting there bleeding out and in pain and so on and so forth. Sickening. Sorry, excuse my language. So anyway, after everything that, I was obviously taking care of her, doing the shopping, getting her son to and from school, all that kind of stuff, yeah, while I'm in absolute agony. I've got no help and support, no mental health support. I've been abused by all these people. There's numerous stuff going on. The DWP is still causing me problems. I'll get onto that in a minute. And I've had to give up much of what I was doing, such as my martial arts, a lot of training, trampoline, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to raise a complaint about what will happen with Torbay. And she said to me, and I quote verbatim, "This happened to me, not you. If you make a complaint about it, we are over." Again. absolutely evil. And then with the breast cancer scare as well, again, same thing. It was just a nightmare. She was just pure evil, or is. I'm talking in the past tense there, sorry. So, we've gladly broken up, but I was homeless. I was put in temporary accommodation, completely unsuitable for me. It was a halfway house, and it came to light in there when I went down to watch the air show, because I've got a thing about aviation, and I had a dream once to get my pilot's license. So I'm sitting there with somebody else that's in there, but another guy that's in that building followed us down, and they suddenly disappeared. I'm like, what on earth's going on? I just got left there, and some guy comes up trying to start a fight with me, and I'm like, squared up to him, I'm like, back off, pal. He said, like, I don't know who you are, what your problem is. Like, he'd already kicked off about this guy, and I still didn't know what he was going on about. And I'm like, look, dude, right, I'm homeless, right, I've just come down with that one guy there, right, we're in the same building, in the same situation, we've been put in there, it's just temporary accommodation. The other guy who's followed us down, I haven't got a clue who he is, he just followed us down, and he's backed off, and he apologised, and he said, oh, I'm really sorry, I hope things get sorted out, right? It turned out that he is convicted paedophile Gary Loftus. Torbay Council claimed to me that nobody was put at risk, despite the fact that I almost got into a fight through guilty by association. I've asked for this risk assessment, no copy has ever been forthcoming. Chelsea Sage also threatened me. This isn't the first time I've been abused by Torbay Council. I'm in this position because of those disgusting people. Same with Teignbridge District Council, scumbags, absolute filth. These people really are knuckle-dragging Neolithic crooks. It's absolutely disgusting, but anyway, I digress. So, and then I finally get a place through my own means, but unfortunately it's with Windsor Properties, who have an incredibly bad reputation, which I was not aware of at the time. Violence in there, people staying there that shouldn't be there. One of them was a boyfriend of somebody that was staying there, and he used to come back with like 3 grand's worth of coke, literally big balls of this stuff, cutting up and dealing in there. There was blood up the walls. I mean, the Windsors are just disgusting human beings. Plus, they owe me money, and I've caught them out lying. Anyway, so I move out of there into 183 Lymington Road with Kim Morley, who is the manager, and her father, the owner, is actually living in Cyprus and has an active business there. She claimed that it was a quiet house and so on, but the next door neighbours were just disgusting human beings. Lee and Cara Harris, 185 Lymington Road, and I've actually got recordings from various people, one of the tenants and Kim Morley's partner, stating that they were actually considering reporting them for child abuse because of what that they were actually doing. But get this. Next door neighbours falsely accused me of shouting and abusing their kids, which was also not support. She asked the landlady asked the tenant, right? They were like, well, no, I mean, we've not been there anyway. And Robbie, who lived below me, said, no, Mike's never done that. And he agreed with me that the next door neighbours are noisy and it stinks, like, because of their like mutts and so on, right? So anyway, I'm asked to leave, like, and she's trying to. By this point, I've had false allegations against me, which is another reason why they tried to get me to leave. Now, Public Enemy number 1 turn up, and I've got evidence against them. And Natalie Booth of Public Enemy number 1 had shown discrimination and bias, and then I supplied evidence. But of course, Devon and Cornwall Constabulary have done absolutely no wrong because they're filthy scum. I absolutely despise the police. They are degenerates. So, anyway, yeah. I'm then given notice, which is unlawful. We'll get onto that in a bit. And then I'm given a second one because Public Enemy number 1 gave her information overstepping their role, so they've broken the law, and told her to give me 24 hours written notice, which it doesn't exist in law. Anyway, get this. It transpires that Deanna Adams here a lady that I've known for many years. I went to school with her son. We went to army cadets together and so on. We lived up the road from them for some time. She made sexual advances towards me in 2020, which I rejected, and at the time when I had social media, I removed her from it. It transpires that she had told Kim Morley that I was in court for being a paedophile and assaulting a woman. Ed Williams from Torbay Council took this as true. The tenants, next door neighbours, was it Ed Williams from Torbay Council? Did I say that? Sorry, yeah. Public enemy, everyone with no evidence. It was, of course, proven to be completely false. So for the second time, I've been falsely accused by a psychotic, narcissistic, degenerate who's made advances towards me, which I've rejected, and then I'm falsely accused, and on both occasions, not one person has had an iota of integrity or any common sense or decency to procure any evidence whatsoever. And because Torbay Council had received this and not given me an opportunity to defend myself, it's a further violation of Article 6 of the Human Rights Act. And get this, Kim Morley told Torbay Council that her father was stuck in Cyprus due to the scamdemic. I had provided evidence to refute that. And I proved that that's not true, that he has an active business in Cyprus, that he does not live on site, and therefore it is an assured short-hold tenancy. Illegally evicted again, which Torbay Council failed to do, like to prevent, which they're legally obliged to do. I was then into another property with some not so much help from Lindy Whitfield of Wellbeing in Action, who's an absolute crook. Now, in her defence, however, she was the one who intervened and was able to prove that these claims of me being in court for being a paedophile and assaulting a woman were completely baseless without merit at all. Anyway, so Bright Star Letting, Sue Coleman, landlord, Christopher Giles, 25 Morgan Avenue, Torquay. Absolute psycho of a landlord, and by law as he's not a fit and proper person, he should not have been given a licence by Torbay Council. So, I'm abused by the landlord constantly, harassed by him, as were other tenants, and I have witnesses, and I have recordings, and I have video footage to substantiate all my claims. I can also prove that the property was completely unsafe fire-wise, but yet Samantha Hart, some deluded so-called experts and with delusions of grandeur, all that nonsense, from Torbay Council, claimed that she had inspected the property and claimed that it was perfectly safe. Well, at this point, if she had assessed it, as she stated, there were actually, and I supplied this photo evidence as well, there were actually reams of cling film hanging down from the doors, the fire escape doors. Right. You can't obstruct it. And then they were like these plant pot things on it's an obstruction of an emergency exit. And cling film. And this is leading out onto metal stairs externally on the side of the building. Right, and she claims that this was safe. And the so-called spill-off kitchen that they claim was always there actually wasn't always there. Although there were so-called certificates in place. But how could they have put them in place when there was no fire safety equipment in there? There's no extraction. And at one point it was just so cluttered with stuff. And yet she's claiming that she's assessed the property as being safe. Now, I made a complaint about this, and then I was threatened by Torbay Council. They said there was no evidence to support my claims, and they threatened me with a defamation lawsuit if I was to make it public. Well, I have made it public, so Torbay Council, I welcome you to bring any defamation claim against me. About a week later, I actually get an email from Torbay Council saying that the building has now been brought up to legal specification, and therefore that would support my complaint and refute theirs. There's no further follow-on from that. And they've done this again recently. They claim that I had not put in some review with regards to removal of temporary accommodation, but I've got an email from them actually stating that they have received it. No response. And absolutely nothing from Duncan Lewis solicitors, who have dropped my case, just like Cartridge's Law did, because they're disgusting scum that have been paid off by these people and have colluded with them to perpetuate the abuse and suffering that I'm going through and to avoid prosecution. Well, it's not happening. Anyway, my mental health had deteriorating. By this point, I'd also been abused by some clown when I was admitted to Torbay Hospital because at the time I was abusing alcohol. And he violated my human rights, assaulted me and so on. But yeah, I had a care coordinator, finally, called Seamus Horsted, who made false allegations about me, and I can prove this because I recorded all my telephone calls with him, all my appointments, and there's absolutely no word of truth to anything that he said. But pals, I made a complaint about it, have sided with him, and once again they procured no evidence and even had the temerity to actually threaten me. Right, all of this I can prove. So I'm passed on to another care coordinator. Just in his defence, he was messed around. He didn't have the training to take me through the change programme, which is what I had been preparing to do. I was doing everything possible, but then I got passed on to Sarah Fayers, who also lied about me and was also grossly devoid of any qualities that you would expect a care coordinator to have. And I just asked to see somebody else. I was like, look, I'm not going to waste your time, my time, or anyone else. Look, I don't get on with you. I can't stand your attitude. Like, you just don't have anything that makes you approachable, you know, stuff like that. I wasn't being nasty about it. And then I was denied any kind of help and support whatsoever. Now, numerous safeguarding referrals made, multitude of so-called welfare checks. It's just gone on and on and on. And I was clearly in severe psychological distress. I'm being threatened by the landlord, harassed with illegal eviction, being threatened with physically removed from the property, which public enemy number one threatened me with arrest because I said I am well within my rights to use force, and they said if you use force you'll be arrested. What, for defending myself? Morons. Oh, there was a lot more. I was given no help. I've caught them out. Armed police and Royal Navy EOD turned up because they'd falsely accused me of making an IED. Which made myself and other people laugh because I actually have a very extensive knowledge of chemistry and explosives, and I certainly had the means to do so at that point. Have I? No. Why? Because I'm not stupid. Why am I interested in it? Because from a young age I've had an interest in films, movies, science and so on. It's been the same. I am on the spectrum and so on and so forth, and my focused interest is science, physics, chemistry, engineering, that kind of thing, music, whatever. So anyway, they didn't seize a lathe, they didn't seize my 3D printers, they didn't seize numerous electronic components and bits and pieces that I could have used to make time delay devices. It was just an absolute farce. And get this, these so-called experts, and I've still got it in the evidence bag now, tried to claim that they had seized a spool of wire and some clippers. Now, they only done this to make this so-called case look bad against me, but it wasn't wire. It was filament, 1.75mm filament from a 3D printer. Right, these are supposed to be experts. Now, I know EOD and so on, they know about 3D printing. I know how these people operate. I know how they train. I've even got friends that I've spoken to that work within this field, and they've said exactly the same. Now, they'll be very knowledgeable about electronics, which I am, right? So they've tried to claim that this thing as being capable of being a time delay device, but yet there were no mechanical, electrical or igniferous components that would in any way indicate that this was capable of being such, right? They also tried to claim that it was capable of launching model rockets. Well, even if that's true, that's perfectly legal. I've been building model rockets since I was young. I mean, I think that my first rocket I ever built was one of those water bottle rockets with a foot pump and that. I think I was about 6 years old, something like that. I was quite young when I've always been like this. Anyway, and I didn't even build this thing. All it was a transformer and a battery pack and a switch, which EOD would have known because they're trained in electronics. I've also read their manuals. I've got numerous manuals on chemistry, explosives, anarchy, and so on and so forth. Why, for any ill will? No, not at all. I just like this thing. It just fascinates me. It interests me. It's just part of history. Anyway, I don't really need to digress into that, but no. Anyway. It was, of course, proven to be complete and utter nonsense, this. Matt Keane from Chadwell, he tried to claim that I needed to be sectioned. And now, if that was the case, this would have been indicative of the fact that these scumbags had abused me, neglected me, and so on and so forth. But he said it just to make the case look worse against me. I didn't even do anything wrong. I've just been abused and neglected by these disgusting people, which I have tried to appeal. No response. Right. I've also got evidence of human rights abuse and so on, and with regards to another trial against me, which was a farce, and they've completely ignored this because they know full well what they did was wrong and that I did nothing wrong. This is really serious. Anyway, so the claims of me making explosives were just dropped. Like I say, I've got a very extensive knowledge of it. They know this, and they know full well that I have never, in any way, shape, or form, ever used my knowledge to cause harm or what, whatever. I mean, they know what kind of manuals I've got, and most people probably would be arrested for it, and they would have taken off it. They know full well that I'm not like that. They know full well that I'm on the spectrum. They know full well that I've got interests in engineering, physics, chemistry, biology, and so on. Like, I always have done, and I always will for whatever's left of my worthless life. Same with music. This thing's fascinating. Mechanics, just always fascinated by how things work. I just like to know the ins and outs of everything. And this also relates to my interactions with other people. Like, I have to question everything. It's just part of who I am. It's not done intentionally, although I have to admit I have done it intentionally just to wind some people up. Although that was rather amusing, but anyway. So I'm homeless by this point, and Torbay Council have committed further violations of the Care Act and illegal evictions, so on and so forth. They've also refused to verify the claims against me being completely baseless, but they didn't, so they left me stranded, street homeless. Another thing with regards to public enemy number one, the armed police turning up. I've actually got the video footage of this. I'm going to submit it to a guy I follow who teaches a lot of CQB and stuff and so on and so forth, just in case you're not aware of what that is. It means close quarters battle, so essentially sort of room clearance and so on, that kind of stuff. They're all sort of full on tactical stuff that you'll see on TV, all that kind of thing. Like, anyway, this clown with his H&K, his MP5, he has slung it in front of himself, and there's my hands behind my back, and I've got access to his fire control group, his magazine release catch, everything. And I was actually going for it just to pull his mag out, just to humiliate this clown. Somebody finally noticed. Guess what? And I made a complaint. Right now, a friend of mine who I've trained with, because I actually do have quite a lot of training in firearms from different countries that I've been to. All of this I can evidence, so I'm not the sort of person to make outlandish claims. It's just I don't get it. I follow a few channels on YouTube that out like phony Navy SEALs and that. Why people make these claims is just ridiculous. Anyway, so I've got an extensive bit of training with firearms and so on. I've got a bit of a passion for firearms, their history, the engineering that goes into it, and just shooting in general. I still shoot now because it's something that helps me focus and calm down. But anyway, a friend of mine that I've trained with, he's a firearms instructor. He's also working in close protection, security, and so on and so forth. He's also looked at what's happened to me and stated that there's absolutely no basis to their claims and it's absolutely sickening. And he also agrees with me that the UK armed police, for the most part, are absolutely ridiculously unprofessional. They are poorly trained. He's actually trained and worked with some of these people, and he is absolutely shocked that some of these people even get signed off as being safe. And this friend of mine also used to work for private security companies on anti-piracy ships. So this guy knows what he's talking about. Kind guy. He's helped me out a lot in the past. So being abused, I'm constantly being abused by public enemy number one. They now keep turning up, armed police harassing me, and I've squared up to one clown and so on and so forth, tied into About Turn and Foxtrot Oscar and so on. Like, these people are scum. Right, they are. They think they can intimidate me into being silent. Well, it's not going to happen. They've tried that and it's not going to work. And this is why they keep harassing me and abusing me. So I'm homeless. I end up having to pay for hotels a lot of the time, which caused me a very severe financial loss, which they are not repaying me, which they are supposed to, even substantiated by a solicitor. I'm taken advantage of by a receptionist there. I was too scared to say no because of the false allegations in the past in regards to the fact that I wear a body cam at all times, just in case I get into situations that I'm not happy. It's not on always, but it's there just in case. But anyway, I got asked to move from that hotel, but nothing was done about it. The owners of the Torbay Court Hotel have refused to respond to me, and I've got telephone recordings with them. They just won't respond to the claims that I've made at all because they're completely spineless. And I'm put in temporary accommodation, and it was just a nightmare there. There was no notice given for works. Suddenly electric would go out because somebody was working on something, and there was no notice given. There was a lot of noise, especially with kids there. I mean, it just went on. I told the solicitor about this, who apparently told Torbay Council, but they've not done it. They just want to cause me pain and distress. All of this can be substantiated. All of this led to a severe deterioration in my mental health, as well as the continued abuse by the scum at Torbay Council, further human rights abuses and so on, leaving me on the streets. They claimed I was intentionally homeless, and they didn't give me an opportunity to defend myself, and everything that they claimed as their reason for stating that I was intentionally homeless was what actually happened to me. Right? Absolutely sickening. Other things at 25 Morgan Avenue. Christopher Giles made false allegations to public enemy number 1 in emergency services who turned up, which is a violation of Section 5.2 of the Criminal Law Act of 1967. He claimed that I had accosted him at the top of the stairs and harassed him walking down. Well, this never happened. Again, this can be proven by the fact that I was wearing a body cam and that I also had my phone out, and that he actually followed me. And I can prove that he came out and he was actually filming me. No actions were taken against this scumbag. Same with Sue Coleman. Add to which she's also refused a CCTV subject access request on numerous occasions because one of the other tenants was a thief. Absolute thief. And I also caught him out lying and discussing stuff with the landlord who was making false claims against me to cause problems in the household. Right, and I've got a recording of that, and I sent it to the solicitor as well. But they're no longer representing me because they took a payout from Torbay Council, colluded with them and dropped the case against me, knowing full well the amount of crime and abuse that I'm subjected to and the fact that I'm in severe psychological distress, and they've left me, abandoned me. Cartridge's Law are disgusting. Add to which Nicky Mine, a Nazi from there, has also stated that they've given me a full subject access request and that what I'm asking for is not on their system. Yet I've provided evidence, and they know full well that I have sent it to them. And because I've got a recording with Faye Newbury of Cartridge's Law that also proves that they have received this, they have it, and it can be taken as evidence and so on. But they're not, because they've colluded with these disgusting human beings. Anyway, numerous other things have gone on. I'm now street homeless. It's just absolutely sickening. I've had nothing but lies. I've also caught out Torbay Council lying. They claim that I was rude and aggressive to somebody from a housing association. I phoned them up. I've got a recording of the call. I've got an email. They've substantiated my side of things, and that Torbay Council are liars, and that they in no way said that I was acting untoward. No response from Torbay Council about this either. Jamie Tucker Last, a pestiferous, ranted lowlife, head of vulnerability safeguarding lead, tried to put an ASBO, has put an ASBO on me because I've dared to challenge these disgusting people, and I've actually got all their photos and details, much of which is public on their own website. I've appealed that, ignored. Like I say, I've got evidence against Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Service and the Crown Prosecution Service for human rights abuses and discrimination, such as one interview that I had to give where at the time I was dependent upon alcohol, as I alluded to earlier. And they claimed that as I had not had a drink for 8 hours, that I could not possibly be confused or distressed or whatever. However, that's not the case, because at the time I was actually physically, psychologically dependent upon it. it couldn't be admitted, but they did anyway, and they've refused to respond to this every single email, and they've now banned me from calling them. So I'm going to be doing a demonstration outside the Ministry of Justice at some point and so on. That's if I survive. At the moment, I'm trying to do my website and try to expose what's happening to me. Oh, I've also got some recordings with the Sun newspaper and how abusive these people are. I've also got evidence against the CQC, Torbay and South Devon Foundation Trust, Devon Partnership Trust. I can prove that Sean Sawyer should be prosecuted for misfeasance. The list goes on. Kevin Foster, Conservative MP, scumbag, absolute vile degenerate of a man, and his wife is also of the same ilk, and if you're aware, she has been outed publicly for just being a bullying, nasty, evil individual. Torbay Council have now also put security outside their office to prevent me from like making any kind of demonstration, which Public Enemy number 1 are also trying to enforce. Shelter have also made false allegations against me. They telephoned Public Enemy number 1 and Adult Safeguarding. Adult Safeguarding are also abusing me. They have instructed them to call Public Enemy number 1 because they claim, 1, that I said I was going to blow up a tank of nitrogen, and 2, that I said I was going to attack people. That's not what actually was said. I never said I was going to blow up a tank of nitrogen. What I actually said was, if things don't change, I'm going to blow, which is obviously in response to emotional state. It's obviously a very common phrase such as, I'm going to blow my top, blow my lid, I'm going to explode. I'm sure you intelligent individuals are fully aware of what I'm talking about. But of course, Shelter have claimed no responsibility whatsoever, and they have repeatedly refused to respond to certain elements because they are spineless scum. And the article that made this claim against me was somebody called Chris. Right, and I've got a copy of the telephone call. And with regards to saying that I'm going to go out and hurt people, I said if anybody approaches me today, then I will retaliate. And that is obviously self-defense. So if anyone does approach me and cause me distress, I am well within my rights. But of course, they said that I'm going to go out and attack somebody, which never happened. I mean, there's so much more that I can disclose. It goes on and on and on. Like, I was a victim of attempted murder by Craig Beecham at Torbay Job Centre. Torbay Job Centre are still adamant that they've got evidence, despite the fact I was recording at the time, and the fact that G4S have given me some compensation. There's a lot more to it. Anyway, assault, attempted murder, it's sickening. The DWP have caused me an awful amount of financial, psychological distress. I've caught them out repeatedly lying, violating the Human Rights Act and so on. They are scum. They kept me on the assessment rate for over 6 years. My mental health has retrogressed. I haven't been able to get back to work or anything and do anything productive in my life because I've been abused by these people. I've been abused by the mental health team, Devon Partnership Trust, Torbay and South Devon Foundation Trust, and so on and so forth. The list goes on. I stupidly tried to reconnect with my gladly now ex-mother last year, and while suicidal on the edge of a cliff, she turned around to me and said, if you've given up, why should we bother? And this is coming from some so-called devout Catholic. Oh, got to be the worst religion in history. I was baptised a Roman Catholic. I don't recognise it. It's just evil. They are evil people. And she said, like, no, what do you expect me to give you my assent for you to go and kill yourself? Like I was asking her for her permission, really? Oh, there's loads of other stuff. She said, oh, your sisters went through what you did and they are nothing like you are. You know, just nasty, vindictive comments, stuff like that. Oh, there's other stuff. But anyway, I have nothing to do with my gladly now ex-family in any way at all. Absolutely bereft of anything resembling morality or ethics or integrity or genuine concern and love. I mean, it's just awful. I've also had it in Honiton with East Devon Council, somebody called Kylie Lynch, a disgusting individual. No response to that complaint. And yet again, I've also received yet another threatening email from yet another council. And I've responded and saying, well, where's your evidence? Would you like to respond? No, they won't respond because it's... And it's obviously in collusion with Torbay Council, who are also of the same calibre. And somebody called Lexi Jane Davison, who I helped out and went out of my way a lot to help. And she was so too kind to the point where, you know, she was trying to say because I needed a new phone. And she was going to give me her iPhone 11 or 12 or whatever it was. And I'm like, well, no, I can't accept that, because you can actually sell that for at least 250 used. I was like, no, it would be wrong of me. You know, and at times I even refused any petrol from her because I would give her some lifts now and then. And I remember one day I gave her a lift. There were some road works and so on, and I managed to get her there a bit late, but, you know, she got there. And, you know, when she was admitted to hospital, she let me go to hers to pick up some belongings that she needed and went back, and then she said that I could stay there. And then, of course, I had this nonsense with stay there to look after the place, you know, and make sure it was okay. In fact, I was in the process of trying to get some garden tools so that I could do the front garden and the back garden and make it look nice, because apparently she'd had some complaints from neighbours. But anyway, yeah, there was stuff there. They've refused to respond to it because they know full well that they're spineless crooks and that I've done nothing wrong. Same with Health Watch England, same with Health Watch Torbay. Abuse by these people. They've made ridiculous false claims and they support crime and abuse committed by public enemy number one. Devon Partnership Trust, the Nazis there, and the tyrants at Torbay and South Devon Foundation Trust. The list goes on and on and on. Devon Mine, somebody called Lynn Neville made false allegations against me, and again, guess what? I can refute it. How can I do that? Why? Because I recorded the telephone call with them. So there is not an ounce of truth in anything. And then Lynn Neville telephones public enemy number one, who called me and threatened me, but I am going to go outside her office and do a demonstration to expose how disgusting Mind are. I don't like Mind. They're an awful organisation, and Stephen Fry, who is the president of it, I think he's a reprehensible, abhorrent, evil individual, and is the antithesis of everything that he professes to be. He's a stuck-up, arrogant individual. I cannot stand the man. I have tried to be in contact with him with regards to the human rights abuse and so on, the amount of abuse that I'm being subjected to as a vulnerable adult that is afflicted with these mental health issues, and to address the issue of one of the Mind officers making false claims about me, threatening me, and he refuses to deal with it and respond to it, and passes me on to their disgusting main switchboard, who do nothing. These people are evil, and Stephen Fry is a disgusting human being. And how, I mean, of course, it doesn't surprise me that he wormed his way out of those disgusting comments that he made some time back either. But anyway, I'm digressing and getting angry. A lot of other things have happened. I say, a victim of knife crime against myself and my mate who's black, and public enemy number one turn up and claim no crime had been committed yet. The individual that claimed that was part of a previous complaint where I received an out-of-court settlement for false arrest, false imprisonment, assault and so on, PC Bovey, and she claimed no crime had been committed. Right. Now, the guy with the knife, he wasn't looking for me or any, like my mate, Adrian. He was looking for another guy that lived there who just moved rooms. But I wasn't about to give this guy that information. He's there with a bloody knife, and how he tried to break in. He tried to climb through my window, but my mate pushed him out and so on. So anyway, with why I received compensation for that is because in 2015, Stan and Ann Resnicek, right, of Bitton Park Road and Alvechurch, made false claims against me that I assaulted the landlord, when one, I wasn't even at the property at the time that they claim. And you should read the two comments. They just don't allude to it. They just don't tie up with each other at all. Right, they just don't match up in any way. Add to which, right, public enemy number one are trying to claim that the red marking on his chest where I'd apparently pushed him, like briefly, which looks like a suntan, it's blatantly obvious. They're claiming that was me assaulting him. There's no evidence to it. He got thrown out after a year because of the corruption of the Crown Prosecution Service. And again, I've made a complaint. Why did they refuse to respond to it over 2 months? Because they are scum. They are criminal degenerates. Sorry, I'm angry. Very angry, and I am in a lot of pain. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. I am vulnerable. I am homeless. I am living in my car. I am self-harming on a daily basis. I have got some very graphic footage of what's happened. The housing solicitor that I did have, again, the second one, has also done the very same thing that the last ones did. I mean, these people are shocking. I mean, I've looked at some of their reviews, and it doesn't surprise me that I've been treated this way. So now I have no help. I've been denied any kind of temporary accommodation as a disabled, suicidal adult. I've had public enemy number 1 turn up again, commit criminal damage, and the solicitor that I did have dealing with public enemy number 1 have refused to respond to my complaint, and have caused me an awful lot of loss financially, as have Torbay Council, and this is supported even by the previous solicitor, that they now owe me over £12,000. Due to vehicle costs, increased costs, hotel fees, like added food costs from when I've had to eat out, which just mounts up, and I'm still not eating properly. I haven't even eaten today. I just can't afford to eat properly. I haven't been able. I've got a camping stove. I'll make some tea and I might do some noodles and stuff, but I'm not eating properly, which is having a further retrogressive effect upon my mental health. I have lost weight. I used to be very fit and athletic. I'm a complete mess. I've just given up. I've also had to sell my guitar. I had a nice cork guitar. I had to sell that. I had to sell my drum kit. I've had to sell my telescopes and tracking mount. Really expensive pieces of kit. I've had to sell my metalworking lathe. Some sound recording equipment, dance music production stuff like drum machines, Groovebox, stuff like that, bass synth. And there's more. I'm going to have to sell my scuba diving gear. It looks like I'm going to have to sell my my records. I've already sold my turntables and mixer. I've barely got anything left. Some 3D printers and that. I've barely got any clothes left, and I've got no clean clothes left. I feel awful, adding to my mental health distress. Trying to sell my crossbow at the moment. I mean, stuff like, I'm not material. Anything that I've ever purchased has always had some sort of value to it. It's not just been frivolous. I can't do all that clutter and nonsense. I don't need it. Can't eat properly. I've got no self-respect left. I haven't been able to continue with my yoga teacher course, and I've got merits or high merits on every single piece of coursework so far. And I've spoken to them, and I've gone past the time to be able to complete it, but they have understood, and they are giving me a bit of leeway. But I'm going to lose that, so another thing I failed at. In 2016, I got accepted onto a course with Open University to do astronomy and planetary science, but Student Finance England screwed up and then tried to rip me off. Luckily, I got all my money back. My world record attempt got cancelled at the last minute due to the timekeepers pulling out the last minute, and I've since discovered, or what we've suspected, is somebody else who I knew who ripped off my idea. Not the person I thought. I've lost a lot of friends as well, partly through the way I've been at times, and I accept responsibility for that, although I'm going to posit a lot the way I do come across, and this is also substantiated with some medical professionals, if you want to call them. I don't consider them professionals. The manner in which I come across is not what I'm internally processing, and it is unfortunately most infelicitous, part of my mental health issues, and I don't have any skills to deal with that. There's a lot more that I can go through. For instance, Chadwell Centre in Paignton, they've claimed that I said that I wasn't ready for therapy. Well, again, I can prove that that's complete nonsense, but pals have threatened me again, and they've sided with them despite having no evidence whatsoever. I've got telephone recordings and all that kind of stuff. And add to which is also further refuted by the fact that shortly after that I managed to secure some funding for a short course of EMDR therapy with the Devon Clinic with somebody called Chris, which was going well up until the point I discovered him lying to me and reviewing his own clinic. And as anyone knows who's ever done any kind of therapeutic relationship or has some kind of business working relationship, that kind of thing, trust is an incredibly important aspect of that. Still not heard anything back. They claim that they sent a letter to me, but I'd been unlawfully evicted again from there, and I'm homeless. I've repeatedly asked them for it, and they're refusing to give it. So, anyway, he lied to me about his knowledge with Angie Manning from What's Your Problem and Karen from What's Your Problem, who stated that it was unethical and immoral to pursue the human rights abuses and so on against me. And I've repeatedly asked them for a reason why, and they have refused repeatedly to give it to me. Very, very, very suspect. Very suspect. What else has happened? I think it's more of a case as what hasn't happened. At the moment, I am in severe psychological distress. I'm in immense pain. I'm not eating properly. I'm also feeling quite physically sick at the moment. I feel a bit dehydrated, and I had some stomach issues the other day. Obviously the weather's changing, things are getting worse, and I literally just cannot cope anymore. Like I say, there's so much more that I could disclose, and it is just disgusting, sickening abuse that I have and am being subjected to. I need to try to have a shower. I'm not taking care of myself anymore. I can't cope with this anymore. I've literally just lost everything. I've lost my hopes, my dreams, everything. And I'm just in so much pain at the moment. On the guitar front, though, it was on Gumtree. It was just next to nothing. It's cheap, nasty type thing. I say it's a guitar, but you know, it's just a cheapy thing. But I've even lost interest in that. So, yeah, and I'm just being denied help and support. Well, I mean, I have got another solicitor that's supposed to be dealing with the mental health side of things, and it's just disgusting that I have to go through this process. But I personally don't think that I'm actually going to last much longer, whether it's through taking life through my own means or just Mother Nature. Just the sheer amount of abuse and neglect that I have and am being subjected to from public services, you know, who just do nothing. Every time they get involved, they just cause me to become worse, and they're just disgusting human beings. No offence to anyone else, but for the most part, I really don't have much respect for the NHS after what I've been subjected to. There's a lot more, and all of it I can evidence. It's absolutely sickening. It really is. And I do have witnesses, and again, I'm certainly far from perfect, but the manner in which I'm being treated is completely inexcusable, regardless of anything that I have done. You know, the false allegations and that I've been subjected to, especially the paedophile, I mean, that's just bad. I say this is the second time that I've had to do this video today, and I do apologise if I've sort of raised I don't mean to. Sometimes I don't even realise what I'm doing until it's too late, but I will go through this and I will try to edit things so as not to cause anybody any offence. That's the last thing I want. But earlier, yeah, I was crying my eyes out, I was just shouting, I was screaming, I was in so much pain, but like I say, I've had a bit of a vape, so I'm a bit more calmer now. I mean, I have had something else bad. I've had to tell somebody that I've known now for 30 years or so that I no longer am going to be friends with him. Because he said that I am in this position because it's my fault. You know, he said, well, it's not your fault that you're homeless, but you're homeless because of your reaction to being homeless. So I am homeless as a consequence of the actions, the criminal actions of others. And my reaction to that is what is responsible for me being homeless after the fact. How the hell does that make any sense? Like, And when I mentioned, when I was upset about my gladly now ex-mother saying, you know, if you've given up, why should we bother? And he attempted to actually defend her. It's perfectly clear what that means with the context surrounding it. And I don't want to, I'm not going to speak badly about the man behind his back, because he was a long-time friend. I really did, you know, regardless of whatever, you know. And I'm sure he feels the same about me in many respects, as we do with any friendship or people we meet, you know, let's be honest. And it really has absolutely destroyed me. Engineer as well, you know, so we've got a lot of very similar interests, very similar sense of humour in some respects, and we've had some good times together. And he, you know, he was also witness to a lot of the abuse when I was younger, and my ex-mother, and so on. I even had my so-called, on that subject, my ex-mother and my ex-sister make false claims about me to have me arrested, which they did later admit. And she said, oh, you know, and then my ex-mother was like, oh, that was years ago, like that actually makes a difference. And now as well, like, she knew full well that incident with my ex-father beating me senseless, and then when I did try to stupidly get in touch with her, she tried to claim no knowledge of it. Utter BS. I've lost my cat as well. I lost a couple of cats, lost a couple of babies. Been the victim of attempted murder. I mean, the crime and abuse is just sickening. Like, and nobody is doing anything. I can't cope anymore. And I think yourself, this lady, sorry, I really don't know what your name is. I do apologise. Kitty lady, you know, I think that's really cute. Like, you know, the cats and that, and your niece or whatever. Well, I've always spoken to you. You've always been very nice, and you've got a really nice vibe about you, really nice energy. So I just thought, well, you know, and you gave me that link to that felt face thing. That was funny. I've got to admit, that was funny, with the bookcase and that, and the Margaret with the biscuits and the newfangled tech. Like, yeah, I must admit, I was giggling quite a bit at that. But anyway. And then, of course, John, you're a decent gentleman, and you're a trustworthy person, and I think people need to know what's happening to me. Because I'm being abused, and you know, it's just going round in circles and so on. Like, this needs to be going public. People need to know what I'm being subjected to, and somebody needs to be intervening, and not public enemy number one. This is really serious. Like, it needs to be reported, and people need to be paying, like, for their crimes. I mean, it constitutes misfeasance, which is a very serious crime and can carry a maximum term of life imprisonment. Obviously, the human rights abuses, the false allegations, malicious communication. I mean, the list goes on. I've been denied any kind of mental health treatment. I've been abandoned. I've been abused by these people. I've had the same with, like, the integrated care board, as they're now known. It's just going round in circles, and not one person is paying any repercussions for their crimes. As you can see, the weather's just completely changed again. It's chucking it down. I'm here homeless. I'm just in so much distress. I am going to self-harm again in a minute. Yeah, I'm struggling. But anyway, I've just realised I've been now jawing on for over an hour, and I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what I've actually been subjected to. It's really bad. There's other things that have happened. I got touched sexually as a young child. That's been denied. I was drugged and raped at one point in my life. Yeah, I've been taken advantage of quite a bit. There's a lot that's been going on that's causing me an awful lot of pain and suffering. And nobody's doing anything about it at all. I've had public enemy number one try to claim discrimination as a criminal offence. It's in violation of the Equality Act 2010. Yes, it is. One clown tried to claim illegal eviction. It isn't a criminal offence. Yes, it is. I mean, these people are just filthy, evil tyrants. Sorry, I am exhausted now, and I still haven't had a shower. I haven't eaten anything. you know, I just feel degraded. I was talking to a friend the other day, and you know, he's talking about going for a Thai meal. He went with his daughter, and he goes to the place where I really love. It's proper Thai food with proper Thai people. I haven't even got the self-respect to be able to go and do that. I mean, I know that might seem somewhat material, I guess. It's just the one sort of little thing that I would occasionally treat myself with, you know. But I mean, there are people worse off. That's true. And I sincerely wish that I could help them, but I can't. You know, it's not being selfish, it's being realistic, you know, and I've got to take care of myself and my situation, and that's part of the problem I've had with a so-called friend of mine, my ex-friend. There's a lot of stuff that I've done behind the scenes and expect no credit for. I'm not like that. I'm not like the Instagram influencers, way look at me and all that. Like, it's just fake. So yeah, just things like that, and just being able to go to the gym, and you know, and I've now developed a fear of tents. I'd still go caving, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I quite happily do that, but I can't deal with tents just because of what's been happening. So yeah, East Devon Council, Torbay Council, Devon County Council, I mean, they're all the same. These people are just evil. They really are. They don't resemble anything even closely resembling at all what they profess, what they push onto the fear-riddled and gullible public. Like, you know, I don't do social media. I think I've still got Instagram, which I don't post on. I just follow the occasional artist like that I like Thievery Corporation or Dax Norman, like the sort of visual art that he does. But yeah, and even then I rarely go on. I can't stand social media. I got rid of it. It's just occasionally I've reopened it just to put something on a marketplace. But yeah, like just even he was just, yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm just gibbering now. But anyway. I just wanted people to know. I probably will be sending this to some other people as well, saying this is exactly what's been going on in my life. It's not abated, it's increased in its severity and frequency. And not one person who has committed some of these atrocious crimes and so on against me has faced any kind of repercussions for their actions, for their transgressions of civil criminal law. And for anything, they're just transgression of ethics and morality, just moral standards. I mean, these people have absolutely no moral rectitude whatsoever. I desperately need help. I need somewhere to stay. I've got to try. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I can't. I'm just exhausted now, and I've been denied any help and so on. I mean, one property, like I said, somebody tried to put me in at one point. No. Knowing full damn well that this area is known for its crime, theft, drugs, abuse and so on, and I'm a vulnerable adult, I was like, nah. And I filled their form in and said everything I thought, and yeah, they just didn't give it to me. So yeah, Torbay Council have also falsely accused me as well of actually being untoward towards housing association, which I've proven to be completely false, and that's substantiated with an email and call from them as well. I'm struggling to deal with things. I've always struggled with things even before I became very sick, like dealing with day-to-day things, I really do. But if it comes to anything involving science or engineering, like music, I can get my head into it, like, you know, but I suck at everything else in life. I am a complete and total waste of space. I'm nothing. I've given up on everything I was doing. My play that I was writing, which is like a cross between kind of like Men Behaving Badly and Bottom, with some elements of Gimme 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 thrown in, and my own pretty warped varied sense of humour, really. Kind of, yeah, intellectual sense of humour, sort of play on words kind of thing, and sort of surreal, abstract, objective kind, all kinds of stuff. So, gave up on that. I gave up on pursuing stunts and acting. I think the last performance I did was on the main stage at the Theatre Royal Plymouth, but the group that I was involved in, which is supposed to be a support group for people struggling, I was excluded from some emails and things, and that was it. I was just like, whether they did anything intentional or not, I really don't know, but it was just a nightmare. And I said it is very cliquey, and she actually agreed. And I said, well, not just with like people in the group, but with you people as well. It does seem quite cliquey. So, and of course the manager, he just hides behind everyone else and won't speak to me directly. They completely mishandled everything. But anyway, I just gave up now. Yeah, I just don't. I've not been scuba diving now in a long time. I haven't been climbing. I haven't been caving. I was supposed to be getting back to skydiving, and that's another thing. This doctor that had never even met me, never even spoken to me, didn't know that I've done stunts where I've been set on fire, I've fallen off buildings, I've been hit by cars, I've fallen down stairs, I've been dragged by a car, fallen out of a car. Like, all while suffering with mental health issues. And this lowlife, this clown, says that I'm not safe for skydiving, yet I can actually prove that I did start skydiving. Ugh. No response from the Croft Hall surgery in Torquay either. That's who they are. Yet, Dr. Karuba, who was a psychiatrist who I had an assessment with when I had a care coordinator, actively encouraged me to skydive and engage in extreme sports. Now, granted, some of the things I've been diagnosed with, people do take extreme risks. However, while I have done that, certainly when it comes to climbing stuff, I tend to have my head screwed on. In fact, probably I over question things at times. But anyway, I made a complaint that he didn't intervene, and he said, because he said that he would not overturn the doctor's decision, despite knowing full well that he knows I was capable, that this lowlife had absolutely no basis for her claims, and knowing full well that this would have a retrogression on my mental health. So the second time I was supposed to be going to Spain to skydive for a holiday, destroyed. The time before that was in 2019. When I had a trip planned to Spain to start skydiving again, and then coming back to see my favourite band play. Lost everything. Absolutely just lost everything. The only thing that I have left now that actually means anything to me is my family, my Snoopies. Woodstock. Octopus has become a member of the family. Little Snoopy. And my panda from when I was born. This is all I have left. And on the subject of my birth, I was screwed from the start. I went into fetal distress. I never had a chance. And it was not even recognised by the midwife, and apparently it was a bit prolonged. From so-called family, my ex-family, I feel like the offspring or the sibling of some members of the animal kingdom that reject their own, sometimes even eat them. I feel like a completely discarded piece of clothing. Something just useless, not needed anymore. Superfluous. I'm trying. Sorry. I just don't know what to do anymore. So, I mean, I was making my fire gels and stuff. You know, I've got videos of me with a gel that I've been developing, or was, blowtorches to my hand and so on, and I've had more experienced stunt guys look at it and say, wow, actually that's pretty good. But I've had people try to rip me off and so on, and another stunt coordinator that I knew who passed away doing a world record attempt, he was like, don't trust anybody in England. I'm sore as well physically because I'm sleeping in my car, and I'm physically sick as well. Like I say, I've been somewhat nauseous and I said bad stomach and everything, and dehydrated. So this needs to be made public. Anyway, I don't need to go on. I think I've taken up too much of everyone's time. And like I said, like I've elucidated, this is in no way scratching the surface of what I have and am being subjected to. But anyway, John, I shall see you on the 23rd if possible. Have that Audi A3 ready. Yeah, that's a nice. I tell you what, that is a nice car to drive. Actually, I just was like, wow. I mean, obviously, it's very different to what I drive now, which is this Toyota RAV4. And I think within sort of a minute or two or so, just sort of adjusted. Yeah, it was just such a smooth, really nice ride, really nice car. That really nice. So, no. Anyway, I just want people to know what's going on with me, because like I fear for my life. Not that I really care about it anymore. I don't make music anymore. I don't. If I pick up the guitar, there's that I pick that next to nothing thingy. That's just no enjoyment. I'm just too sick now. I've lost so much and I can't cope. All of this was completely avoidable. Completely avoidable. I've just given up. Like, you know, I would have just loved, you know, I mean, one thing that really does grate my cheese at the moment is about a year ago, I came across a property, a one-bedroom flat with a garage and a driveway, which was perfect. I could have put my lathe in there, could have put my 3D printers, or maybe a couple of, mind you, they were going to be enclosed, some of them, due to what the materials I was going to be working with, like ABS and that, and also to protect them from any other contaminants, that kind of thing. And build it up from there, welder, get another welder, get a milling machine. I'd probably even get a desktop CNC at some point. And numerous other bits like plasma cutter and obviously tooling, that kind of thing, some high-end tooling, which I'd already been starting to collect. I mean, I already had quite a bit with the lathe, with like collet chuck and collets, and oh, I had all kinds of stuff there. And even because I didn't have a milling machine, I had like an attachment that you could actually put in place of the tool post and essentially use it as a mill slide with some sort of yeah, XY, yeah, you know what I mean. Sorry, I'm struggling right now. I just can't think. But I've just given up. But anyway, yeah, that would have been perfect. I could have had my decks in there. I wouldn't have had to sell them. Like, you know, I could have maybe got some. I don't know. But anyway, that was unfortunately through Ridgewater, who tried to rip me off once, and to this day they're still trying to deny. So I did get my money back, but it's just a nightmare. And again, I caught the guy lying to me. I said, "Oh yeah, this is another thing. I saw you reviewing the company that you're working for, and he said, oh, but that happened before I worked there. And I'm like, but hang on a second, your comment was actually after I approached you. Yeah, it disappeared. I mean, these people don't have any integrity whatsoever. So anyway, and here's another thing just on this subject, last thing, sorry. Because I've been denied any relapse prevention, I've been doing damn well to stay off alcohol considering what I've been going through. I have had drinks at times, but not to the extent that I had done before. I don't drink now, so yeah, I knocked that on the head months ago. Obviously, you just can't afford it, and it's just like I was thinking, hang on, this could go the wrong way, so it's just not worth it. And and anything that I've got to use to try and survive, which even then I'm not doing. So, it was like, well, yeah. So anyway, I went to Alcoholics Anonymous in Torquay, and I got assaulted by some woman there trying to get my attention, tapping me when I literally had sat down and I moved myself away from the table and people, which clearly indicates I need space. She just tapped me to look at her and just like... Anyway, I raised a complaint about this, and this clown, I made it perfectly clear, Mickey's name is, that I was not comfortable in turning up, and I didn't receive a response, so I emailed again. He said, well, I was waiting for you to come in, knowing full well that I wouldn't come in. And then some other vile narcissist, what was her name, Susie, she said, for fuck's sake, Mick, I don't think we should deal with this mentally unstable individual anymore, or words to that effect. No response. And again, the main office... Oh, no responsibility of ours. They just use our name. Despite the fact that this constitutes malicious communication, a criminal offence, discrimination, and so on, causing distress. I've been to a number of different countries. I've lived in a few different countries as well, and out of all the ones that I've been to, the UK is the most disgusting, corrupted cesspool that I've ever been in. I absolutely despise this country. I used to have some friends from South Africa. I was in 2000. When was it now? I think it was about 2020. I got given a van which I started to convert, but the more I pulled it apart and then coming across the old MOT, it was like, no, this isn't going to work. Anyway, my plan was to go across to France, I believe, or Spain, go through to Morocco, all that ferry and all that business, and then go through Africa down into South Africa. But yeah, that didn't happen. There's some things that happened there with a lady who was giving me some free counselling support, and then things got sexual when she was married, and I told her husband when I backed off. So, but anyway, yeah, I was just gutted because I've always wanted to go to South Africa. I want to go diving with great whites there. I'd like to go and do some training with people there and so on. Yeah, just I think it'd be a hell of an experience. Plus, I listen to Wackhead Simpson. I sometimes revisit his senseless surveys, which have me in stitches over and over again. And he's from South Africa, so that would have been cool to go down and sort of rock up to his studio or whatever. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm digressing. I've already gone on and on and on. Like I say, there's a lot more that I can disclose, but yeah, I'd be here for an eternity. I just wanted some people to know that I trust, and I think that people that have value as individuals, and have some decency. So, but again, sorry to the lady. I don't know what your name is. I really don't know. Yeah, I think I've seen you a couple of times. What, the other day when you were with I think it was your fella. I don't know. And then I saw you in Tesco. Yeah, so, and then of course John, yeah, sorry, but anyway, and to whoever else this is possibly sent to, because I am really going through absolute hell at the moment, and I'm in severe pain and desperately need help with so much, legal help, housing, and so on. I just can't deal with it anymore. I've never known anything like it, so, but anyway. thanks for listening, and take care.